It's Joefest season, and I say season, not weekend, because to me the anticipation and build up towards Joefest kind of builds up to a fever pitch when we get there. But there's all this anticipation between our guest today, Ed, doing all of his announcements, all the companies that are either making exclusives or planning to be there and roll out product for the first time. There's really just a lot of, I guess, that's why I say season, right? Build up, anticipation, excitement that kind of goes for several months. It's almost like whenever your last big convention is, you start looking forward to this. And for me, my last big show that I did was in like early April. So for the last 2 months, it's just been this like hype mode for Joe Fest. And I have been planning to bring on Ed Schumacher, the runner of Joe Fest, the creator of Joe Fest, on this channel for quite a while now. And finally today, we managed to get the time on our calendars to get together and have this conversation. So you know what? Let's just bring him on camera. Ed, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, Ken, how are you?
I'm doing all right, and I just realized I forgot to send the link out to a couple of places, so I'm just gonna go ahead and and do that right now because I'm apparently a little bit behind on my own promotion for this, let alone for you doing promotions for an entire show at an entire venue.
Speaking of behind, is that a vintage Robo Skull back there?
Well, I heard you wanted one, so I thought I'd get my muscles and my big guns. I mean, sorry, that's not a big gun here, but that's a big gun there. So,
Yeah.
yes, it is
Wow.
a vintage Robo Skull, and I'm not going to say who or where I got it from. Who or where the names, not naming any names of who or where managed to arrange it. Oh, why is my camera flickering that name on
Yeah,
and off?
mine too. Yeah.
Yeah, yours too. Um, yeah, I mean, Ed, I know you seem calm all the time, but you seem relatively calm for an event that's basically coming up here in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, I've had some lifestyle changes this year. I've had I'm able to handle it a lot better than I have in the last 7, 8 years. So um, I'm ready. I am really ready this time. I'm prepared. You say that, but you never know what's going to happen with things. But right now, everything's planned out to a T. Just ready to go. I just reacted to a message that I got from an attendee in Britain that he's coming over for the first time and wondering, how things work, where to be, and this and that, and just the excitement you could read in the message it gets you fired up.
It's quite palpable, right? Like you're not just getting a standard message. You're getting basically a I can't wait. Like
Yep.
this is going under the tree Christmas morning, right? Except Christmas morning lasts for like 3 days, right? And that Thursday is kind of like the Christmas Eve anticipation, right? So yeah, got a bunch of people in the chat today. A few familiar names here. Wilhelm Toy and Hobby, who will be helping our Delta 17 booth. Crash, you know this guy, right? He'll be
Yeah.
helping the booth as well. Our good friend Rexship85, he'll be there this year. Joe Hunter 73 says he'll be there. Nolan up here in Canada, my way. This gentleman here who's coming over from Europe for the second time, actually. And Josiah Alcorn is here as well. We got a few others rolling in. Rexship says go straight, then buy one of every item. Should have been the first step. Appreciate that. Very honored you would say that, Rexship. And yeah, I'll be happy to shake your hand this year. I know you're coming with some family members, so hey, let's make it happen. So I imagine that on the day of Joe Fest, you wake up to about 80 or 90 messages, and everyone going, "Hey, where do I go? Where do I park? What time does this start?"
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always questions and whatnot, but as we get going and we're in the same venue year after year, people start to make their plans. We're getting better about our map that we have posted online, our vendor locations. I had a person message me last night. They're like, where can I find that? And, each and every year you get less and less of those messages and more that they know where to find the information.
Right.
So,
Well,
yep.
I mean,
So
yeah.
I think the map is much, much better this year than that other thing we've been using. You
I
can read.
noticed. Yeah, I mean, I noticed that it's a little bit more structured.
Yep.
Um, the aisleways are going to go quite long at the front there, but that's how it's got to be. You got to have your main presenters up front there, some of your artists in the back there, and the center alley there where Skeletron and Marauder were and Four Horsemen were last year was a real treat as well.
Yeah.
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 Mhm. And for those who are visiting for the first time, just so they've seen it, you can find that map on the main page, and then you can cross-check who the guests and vendors are by table number just by going here.
Now, if I can figure out how to get that map on that page, I would, but I can't seem to figure it out for some reason. I got to enlist some help when somebody knows how to work a website, because I want to
Yeah.
get that map on that page. Make it easier when you're at the show. You can just pull it all up on one and have
I
your
mean,
virtual map.
a lot of the vendors will post on the social media anyway about which location, which booth they're going to be at.
Yep.
So that definitely helps. Now, just so I'm clear, the Friday show that starts at 6 and there's no 5 p.m. early bird, is there? Or is
No,
there? Okay.
no, just 6. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. So the early bird is a Saturday at 9, right? So
Yeah.
okay.
Friday night's going to be a free for all, rush, rush, rush. And I love that type of environment. I love the excitement of it that it brings. Friday night is traditionally get to your booths that sell exclusives. Um, and then Saturday is, traditionally, people that couldn't make it Friday for the exclusives plus the celebrities and artists, and everybody else. So if you got something unique for your booth, that just brings somebody customers to you quicker, I've learned.
Absolutely. Like last year when I mean last year Fresh Monkey, I know we're showing their stuff this year, but last year they had the two translucent figures and everybody beelined it there, and I even had some people say, "Hey, can you pick it up for me and then ship it after the show?" And I'm like, "Well, I got to cross the border and then send it back across the border." Last year, that may have been somewhat possible. This year with the tariffs, I'm like, I'm not sure,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
yeah, last year we definitely felt it with our Delta 17 Red Okami, where everybody just beelined it for the booth, and a lot of people were buying two, three, four of them for friends. Um, and just that nothing really matches that initial rush on the Friday. Like last year was my first time feeling that big Friday rush because the previous year we only had the prototypes, right?
Mhm.
So we basically had the equivalent of an artist table, which is a bit of a different experience, but you will still enjoy the show like it still be the highlight of your year for the most part. That's how I felt in 2023. And then in 2024 even more so because all of a sudden we had product. And then
Mhm.
all of a sudden, everyone's like, "Hi, one red Okami. Hi, two red Okamis. Hi, a whole set plus the red Okami." And this year, after having shown the Desert Troopers, which we put on a stream last week or 2 weeks ago, that was another crazy hype train. Everyone's like, "Okay, I need two sets for friends and all that stuff." And you've really done well to bring the community together here. One thing I wanted to ask was like, I know you've talked a bit about this before, like when you were on a Punk with Toys' channel, but can you talk a little bit about the formation of Joefest back in, I think it was 2018? How did you get started? Why did you get started? Oh, did I lose you? I think you might be frozen up, Ed. I think he's frozen up. You might have to exit out and come back in. I'll just go over some comments while you.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're back. You're back. Okay, good.
Yeah, my is down in a hill, and to get Wi-Fi down here, even
Mhm.
through the cable, is quite interesting sometimes. So I apologize, but
Yeah. So how did you, what was the story of how Joe Fest got started back in I think you said 2018. Um,
yeah, somewhere around there. I'm terrible with dates, but yeah,
it was the
um,
year of the last JoeCon, right? Same
it
year.
was.
So
It
that
was.
probably was 18.
We
Yeah.
did it in March. I remember that. We did a 1 day show, and it was incredible. it was just a one little conference room type of thing, giving it a try. And we came in that morning to set up, vendors and whatnot. And it basically, it was just, there you go, Ken. Where are you, Ken?
No, I'm here. I'm here. I
Okay.
just had to. I if I do that, it just means I have to
Oh,
either
okay.
blow my nose because of
I thought
allergies
your
or I have to
Wi-Fi
swat a
went.
fly away. No, no, you're good. You're good.
No, we came in the morning and they were lined down to the highway. Um, people wanting to buy tickets to get in. And then once we let everybody in, the vendors had to move out of the conference room and into the parking lot because we got overflowed too much that you couldn't get any more people inside the room. So then we moved to the next largest venue in the area, and the same problem had. So we had to go to convention center, and convention center feels like home now. It's wide open, gives you some room to operate, move around, but still doesn't take the personality out to me.
Yeah.
You can get up and close and personal with celebrities. Um, so
Hmm.
it
Yeah.
still has the intimacy of a smaller show to me.
So
And
yeah. So was it the second year that you moved to the convention center, or was it the third
third
year?
third
Third year.
year.
Okay. So
Yeah.
eventually. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Because I think Crash said he went for the first time in 2020. So that would have been the first time you were at the convention center. And that's interesting because I think Joe, because you said you did the 2018 show in March. JoeCon I think is in the summer, and I think people knew it was kind of ending. So, did you know going in that people would kind of migrate over from the old JoeCon, and then
No.
JoeFest would kind of take the torch? Did you know that at the time?
I started it as in March because of income tax season,
Hmm.
and it just, I figured if I'm gonna get the show off and running and try it, um, having people with money would definitely help. So yeah, we went one March. We tried it. It was a great time. But it became apparent that we had to be more in the summertime to get that family feel. Um,
Hmm. Yeah. So was it the second year that you jumped to June then?
I believe
Probably.
it was. I
Yeah.
believe it
Yeah.
was.
I see.
Yeah.
That's cool. And did you have any show running experience prior
No,
to this, or no?
no, no. Just been to too many shows, and of
Yeah.
course, we all critique everything, and I just wanted to put my hands on it and see what I could do, with what I thought should be
Wow.
done. So
Well, I mean, we're all critics, and then once you've tried it,
exactly.
which you have now, it's like, huh, there's all these logistics I got to think of, right?
That's what it is. There's always a reason for it.
Hmm.
It's easy to get online and say, hey, you should do it this way, that way, this, until you try doing it yourself, and then you start realizing, well, maybe that's why they did it that way. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we try not to complain too much. I can talk about this now because it's 2 years later, but you probably don't know that you're hearing this for the first time. When we set up our artist table for Delta 17 back in 2023, we got our space and there was no physical table there. We kind of had a bit of a laugh. Having said that, there's such a camaraderie that I flagged down because I recognized his costumes, like his cosplay. I realized we were set up near Jason Packard, and he's just like, "Oh, let me just get one for you." And he literally comes back with a table, sets it up for us. Like, here you go, man. I'm just like, see, and that's the community, right? Because things get overlooked, right? You can ask the convention center to lay everything out, but something gets missed, something gets moved,
yeah,
right? That particular year, because we only had an artist table, we didn't set up till like 3 o'clock, right?
yeah,
Whereas most vendors had been in there since like some go in at like what 9 a.m.,
yeah,
9:30
8,
a.m.
9 a.m. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's how that shook out. But you didn't hear from me about it. We just took care of it because I recognized somebody there. I'm just like, oh, I'm meeting Jason Packard for the first time, right? And with regards to all the names, right? Because like for me, getting involved with the like going to Joefest for the first time was 2023. Now I'd been in the online community for 5 years prior to that, so I'd seen a lot of names, right? So it was like, meeting Darren Howlett for the first time, meeting Hooded Cobra Commander 788 for the first time, all those people, and them just kind of saying that, yeah, I mean, the spirit of Joe Con has largely carried into Joe Fest as far as the big show is concerned. Some would also give an honorable mention to Assembly Required in November because of some of the intimacy of the old Joe Con guard. A lot of them still go there, right? So you've really built it to become what it is. Now, here's a loaded question, and feel free to plead the fifth and use your U.S. Fifth Amendment rights, which we don't have that same right up here. I'm sure we have an equivalent. I just don't know what it is. You've teased a second show in the same calendar year before. How realistic is that given your schedule currently?
I've talked to so many different vendors, and some want it, some don't want it. They don't want to water down the product. Some maybe want it on a smaller scale. I want to do it. I do want to do it, but I also don't want to do it here. If you know what I'm saying?
I do.
Because
but,
I think it would be best to bring products to a different area.
Mm-hmm. What would be the second or third market you'd be most familiar with to be able to kind of get a handle on a second show?
I mean, for me, because I do work a day job, it's kind of hard to get out and find places.
Yeah.
I know of places from where I've lived before. I've checked out down in Florida. A lot of vendors don't want to go to Florida.
This guy's from Florida.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm mostly a Florida boy, so I know a lot of great places down there that I could definitely pull off something smaller, and give it a try. Which to me would be a great winter idea because Florida is perfect for winter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, because you live in Augusta, if people need things shipped, if you need to go deal with something directly with a convention center, logistics makes sense. So I somewhat maybe ignorantly just assume, that until the day Ed no longer has a day job, you'll probably do it in Augusta. But I didn't realize you lived in Florida before and you have some familiarity with
I've
there.
got that. I've got family out towards the central part of the country. I know about Dallas. I've had some people reach some places in Indianapolis, which I've given a lot of thought about there because that's a central location.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I see some comments in the chat. Some say Dallas, some say Kentucky, but they're also saying those regions have shows as well. So, so it doesn't really necessarily make sense because those would be their regional shows, right? Same with SoCal Joe show, right? So, yeah. You're absolutely right that it might water down the experience. Having said that, there is a certain sadness whenever I have to say goodbye to everybody, either on the Sunday. This year will be some of them I'll say bye on the Monday because I'll be leaving Monday morning. It's really sad to say goodbye.
So long to get here, right, Ken?
Yes.
It feels like it's so because you think about your life all year long. You got holidays, everything else that goes on, your medical, who knows what you're dealing with, right?
Yeah.
And then you get here and you forget it all for a weekend.
Yes.
Then on Sunday, it's like, oh, now I got to wait a year?
Yes.
Right?
That's exactly how it feels. Like,
yeah.
I get there Thursday and I thought I knew shows. We have some big shows here that have hundreds of tables, several thousand people through the door. They last multiple days, but I know the people in my local market. Yeah. I'll never forget when I walked in on the Thursday in 2023 because we came in through Atlanta and it's kind of a gong show trying to get out of that airport and get the rental car. It's the busiest airport in the world, right? Mm-hmm. And what happened was we didn't get to the Marriott till 11 p.m. And the whole place is bumping. Everyone's been going all night. And as soon as I walk in the door, I recognize one friend after another, and I'm just shaking hands. 3 seconds later, shaking hands. 3 seconds later, hugging someone.
Yeah.
And yeah, basically, right? Like, and it's fine, but it was so surreal. Especially, I spent the entire day traveling, but then this energy, adrenaline rush just hits.
Yep.
And you're just like, oh my God, I'm seeing you in the flesh, not on screen, not on the phone, not
Yes.
over a text message. And
And that makes a difference, doesn't it?
and
Really?
as soon as that first 30 seconds walked in the door, I knew I was going to have the best show experience I ever had. And that was before we had Delta 17 product to sell. I
Yeah.
already felt the 2023 show was the most fun I ever had at an event because it's not something I can have all the time. I can't just call up my buddy Peter and say, let's go to the local show here. And then 2024, like the bar already raised past my limit in 2023, and then the bar went up again in 2024 because like I think you said you got a record attendance that year,
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
right? And then of
Absolutely.
course we had product. There was more in the way of panels in 2024,
Yep.
right? And it just goes to show what kind of event it is.
It's
Like until you get there, you don't really understand it, can't really comprehend it.
it's a building experience for me. Like you said, I don't have any experience in doing this. Um, each year it's just like, okay, somebody suggests, hey, why don't you do this? And it's like, wow, never even thought of it. So each year is more and more and more. So
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
I get that.
it
I
keeps
get that.
evolving.
Yeah, more and more people are coming into the chat. I know it definitely keeps evolving. But speaking of that evolution, other than like the top end household pop culture names like Sarge, do you make it a point to rotate guests
I
each
do.
year? Like, so some guys only come back every other year.
Yeah, I don't think it helps the celebrity to come back every year. Um,
Hmm.
I definitely don't want any negative thoughts when they leave, and I just feel if they're there 2 years in a row, it's not as lucrative for them.
Hmm.
And then that's why they're coming. Some of them are on other paths. Some of them, some of them enjoy the experience and all that, but you know, I don't want them to come in and then go and say, well, hey, look, this was a disappointment this year, So I think you have to rotate out. I
Hmm.
really wanted more Lofton here. We tried for several years, and it was a
Yeah,
bummer. I met her at a show a couple hours from here, and such a great person, and dearly missed, no doubt.
big
But
time,
yeah, I
big
thought
time.
she would have really loved it here. So
Oh, she probably would have, right?
yeah,
I know Michael Charles Hill said he had a good experience last year. I know Bob Breeken had a good experience last year. And the way
I
it is,
love Bob. I
oh, Bob was
absolutely.
great.
Bob is one of my all-time favorites. I Ben came over and brought him over to me, and we were eating dinner, me and my wife, late in the front restaurant there, and he asked if he could sit with us, and absolutely. And he
Yeah,
was telling my daughter, because she was still going to school for art and design then, just learning things from somebody that has so much experience that was willing to share it. um
he's such a gem
oh my
of
goodness,
of a
yeah.
human being. I'll never forget that. Like, I wake up one morning and Bob Reekin basically sends me a message on my Toy Connections account. I just watched one of your videos. Absolutely excellent. Keep the spirit of Action Force alive. I'm like, is the designer of the Robo Skull, the key guy behind Action Man, who created the gripping hand from his own hand, is this guy like? I was so surreal to me,
How is he
right?
this nice, right? I mean,
Yes. How's he
yeah,
this? How's he this generous with his time,
yeah.
right?
He
Now,
gave me a gift on the way out, and I
did
haven't
he?
showed it to anybody yet, but I had planned on doing a post on all this year, but I just hadn't gotten around to it. But maybe after the show this year. It's like you said, the generosity is
It's unreal.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that a lot of us wish certain guests would be there every single year, but I like when I heard, oh, this guest wasn't here or it wasn't going to be there this year but was there last year. I started thinking of it from your perspective. Like you're the one that's got a plan, make the accommodations, make the experience worthwhile. for them, right? Some
Well,
like Sarge bring in the crossover wrestling and GI Joe crowds, so that one absolutely makes sense every single year. Seeing certain guests every 2 years um, makes sense in other ways
see,
as well. You got to
I'm
look at your budget too, right? So
yeah, my budget, and I'm also thinking about the vendors too, because if you don't keep it exciting, you're going to lose attendees, and there
yes,
aren't attendees there, they're not buying from vendors. So
yes,
I would love to bring them all back every year. I really, really would, but
hmm
times are not cheap either. Airfare is not cheap anymore.
hmm
Hotels aren't cheap.
yep,
So I've learned one thing about the show all these years. Um, you have to have a good mix of vendors and celebrities and artists. Um, but people, you can't forget that this is rooted in toys. And it's great to have some celebrities, but people are coming for the toys foremost. Um, I've just learned that over years. You do post and you can see the reactions and stuff like that. And celebrities give you a lot of traction. They really do. But man, you can announce one exclusive and the post goes through the roof, So we're toy collectors at heart. I've learned that.
we absolutely are. And when I go there, right, there's certain items that you've only heard about, seen photos of. Suddenly
Mm.
you're walking around and you're like, is that the full set of Arjun 7 from
Well,
Plastirama? Things like that.
we were just talking about Friday night, exclusives, and then Saturdays, celebrities and whatnot. But we forget to mention that on Friday night, the whole place tilts to the left for the toy department because they save their product for this show each year. They've told us. So
Yes. Yes.
you don't know what you're going to find there, and they don't advertise it. And I love that because it gives you that thrill of like being a kid in a toy store yet again and going there and going, wow, what is that?
So you're right. I mean, I've only gone there the two times myself, but I did notice that first year there, I was actually looking for one of the fun school, the fun school Sergeant Slaughter, the Super Cup. I was
Yeah.
looking for that. I looked all show for it. Who had it? Toy department,
Yeah.
right? And that was kind of the big thing I bought that year. And then the very next year, I don't know if I've told you the story or if you noticed it last year on the Friday they had the second version of the Robo Skull, the 1985 version that came with Wild Weasel, with the variant stickers, obviously the variant pilot, variant box, and everything. And they put it up. They did not put a sticker on it. They're setting up the rest of their booth, and I walk by. It just catches my eye. Someone else walks by. Oh, that's a Robo Skull, and everyone's like, "Excuse me, how much for the Robo Skull?" And people are like, "Oh, we haven't priced it yet. We haven't priced it yet." Right? This is just other vendors looking at it the minutes before the show opens. Right? Eventually, I go back to the booth. We start the show. Right? By the time I get out of the booth again to walk around, obviously it's gone. Right? Because I didn't leave the booth for probably an hour and a half. And then I asked Chris on the Sunday when he and Ken were selling me, or when I was selling their store some Delta 17 stuff for wholesale. I said, so did that RoboSkull even last 20 minutes? They're like, no, it lasted about 20 seconds, and it was counting the cash was what took the 20 seconds basically. And they sold the thing for $1,200, no negotiation at all.
No, no,
And if you know, yeah,
how do you
if you know what these
negotiate
go
when
for,
everybody wants it?
yes, and it's boxed and it's the variant,
Yeah. And it's
right?
it's so rare. I mean, it's
Yes. So
that leads us into our international vendors. One of them told me that they're bringing a minimum of 9 complete Robo Skull.
yep, yep, I know exactly who you're talking about. And that room is you're gonna see a small tilt that way as well,
Yeah,
right?
well,
You're gonna see a more balanced tilt now on the Friday
yeah,
night.
yeah. They're the international vendors are bringing fire this year. I mean, they are. I've got right behind me. They've been shipping to me for the better part of a couple months now. Just
Yep.
to make sure it's here, and I want to open the boxes. I
I
want
know.
to look, you know. I love that stuff. So,
Yeah. When I talked to those two gentlemen last year, they did not know what to expect with Joefest.
yeah,
And then when they got there and they didn't realize just the craze of the American love for that old Palatoy era. And I'm like, no, you understand that there's a fascination for us that you grew up with something that was kind of similar, but different enough and was still just as cool.
yeah.
And in some cases, people actually like it better, right? Like I didn't know what a RoboSkull was till 2018. Here I am with one, right?
I gotta have one. I'm telling you, he said 9. It might be 8.
Well,
If you
there may have been 10 they were planning to bring at one point.
yeah. What do they go for now, Ken?
Um, they can. I mean, depending on condition, completion, and whether it comes with the driver, with the pilot, it could be between 650 to 8, that range, US. So, yeah,
It's a
um,
family vacation or a robo-skull.
yeah, yeah. I know. But a lot of it depends on stickers and everything, and the condition of the chin guns. You know, Stephen's in the chat. He can say more about it,
He
but
says open them, but he won't have any product for the show.
that's
Oh,
hilarious. Yeah. So Stephen and Stefan are gonna notice a bit of a tilt their way because they were that hidden gem that you didn't know you wanted until you got there, right?
yeah,
And credit to Toy Department, Roma, and those guys as well because they don't get to announce exclusives necessarily coming to the show. Like yeah, last year they had the mugs and everything, but for like toy exclusives, they don't necessarily get the big hype like the indie companies, like ours and Fresh Monkey or Skeletron get to announce. But when you get there, there's nothing like seeing that back wall or that side wall and the tables and all the cases, prototypes, JoeCon exclusives, international releases, variants of variants of variants. There's nothing like walking in and seeing that because you've spent, probably 40 something years of your life, in some people's cases 50 years of their lives ingrained with that stuff, right? Going all the way back to the Adventure Team Joes and everything like that, right? And you just can't help but gravitate towards there, right? I tilted there before I even knew what they had, right? Just because I saw the size of their setup. So
see, the crazy
yeah,
part is, Ken, because you and I both we have access to the floor. Um, we walk around during setup, and I see all this stuff, and it's like, wow, I could probably get that right now, you know. But I never do it because I want the attendees to come in there and have a really good experience. I know other vendors do some trading, they do some selling and all that, but I really kindly asked them, save it for the attendees. Um,
yeah, it's very very honorable of you. I'll say that because
yeah,
some people would just be like, sorry, feeding frenzy, it's time,
yeah,
right?
yeah. That's
Um,
why I don't think I'll get a Robo Skull because I don't have the heart to do it. I'm going to advertise it here in this next week. Been working on graphics and all for it. Oddly, you can't find a picture of a vintage Robo Skull toy anywhere online.
I
I've
can send
been,
you pictures. I can send you pictures of mine.
please, because I
Yeah.
am trying. I want to put together a great advertisement for them, and you know, I don't have the heart to buy one when I know there could be 9 people standing out line out in the front trying to get in at 6 o'clock to get one. You know,
Yeah. I
so
swear I swear I have photos on my phone. If not, I'll screenshot my
yeah,
video. Oh, you know what? I just found some photos.
cool.
All right.
I did Google Images. There's nothing. I mean, very blurry stuff.
No, that's totally fine. I will absolutely send you, and in three, two, one, you should have at least 4 images now.
Cool.
Right? If you want a comparison shot with the new Mark II Robo Skull, I've got an image of that too. So there you go. You've now got images. So use
And,
whatever. Use whatever.
and
Yeah.
now we've talking about the new Robo Skull. I have the variant that has the gold trim to it.
Yep. The special edition. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be tempted to get a red one now. You know,
Ben and the guys have really done well to be leaders of the community. Like,
Yeah,
they threw us, Call Sign Longbow, and a few others into the same fulfillment center. So we all ship out of the same facility in the U.S. now. So they kind of brought a team there, and
they
it just
they they brought Bob last year. I'm eternally grateful because I was trying to figure out how I can save cash for international flights, and you know, many may think that you get rich off of doing this. You really don't. I put a lot of money back into it to keep it running, to keep it exciting. And I really would like to bring more international guests over.
were
But
you just as surprised when Bob was announced last year when you saw the announcement go up? Because
I
I
was
messaged you.
working. I
Yeah.
was working, and I'm telling you, I about dropped the phone, and it was like a tear in the eye because it was like I've been trying to figure out how I can afford this. An international flight's quite pricey.
Hmm.
So um,
Remember, I messaged you and you were just as surprised. You're like, "Oh, we're getting Bob Regan." I'm like, "Oh, that's right. Skeletron's just surprise sponsored him for you." And it's just
I had
like,
messaged him earlier before he announced all that, and I said, is there any? Do you have any connection to him? I would like to see if I could bring him next year, which would have been this year, and might be all I can afford to bring, but I want to bring him. And it wasn't a couple of weeks later announcing him as a guest, and it was like eternally grateful. I
I
mean, it was
remember because last year, like some of the other mainstays like Kirk Bazigi and Ron Rudat, they weren't available. And suddenly getting Bob Regan there was kind of like, well, we are going to get Bob for the first time, and that was quite the turn of events. Let's put it that way.
the
To
something because we all form memories at each show.
yes.
My memory is I'm good friends with Martin over at Retroville Collectibles.
Hmm.
Um, he worked a lot of years in Atlanta at their show, and he's primarily a vintage collector, especially 12-inch Joes, all that stuff. And I went up to him and I said, "Did you know Bob is here?" And he goes, "Bob," and I had to tell him about the Kung Fu grip, and he goes, "He's here? Watch my booth," he says. He literally took off running. He knew there was a vendor that had a Kung Fu grip figure there. Bought it from him, ran up to him, got an autograph, and ran back. And it was like a 10-year-old little boy in the eyes. You could just see that he just met one of his all-time idols. And it's stuff like that why we keep doing it. It's
The memories you get are really like you can talk about it like you talk about a great vacation, but there's just this blissful surrealness that you
yep,
just can't really quantify,
yep,
till you
yep,
get there. Yeah. Now, one thing I wanted to ask is that you've now expanded to the second floor,
yeah.
right? So the old panel room is being moved, and now that panel space is now going to be the second floor set of tables. Is there even any more room for expansion, or do you think you're maxed out at that venue?
Oh, the venue's not maxed out, but it's not in a location that I would. I see. To me, each vendor's got to have a fair shake at everything, and we could expand down the hallway to the left is another convention space, and it's probably about maybe the third or a little bit larger of what the sales floor is. But again, what we're talking about is expansion upstairs to the left, down the hallway, and around the corner and into another convention room.
Mm,
How are we going to find those vendors?
yeah, and how that can affect the after hours trading as well, because now we're no longer going to have the.
I mean, I could have easily sold that out. I could have sold that
Mhm.
in probably under 10 minutes. But
But you have
um,
to manage it. Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and hey, look at it this way: the more vendors you bring in, there's more money that's being spread out with more vendors. You want your vendors happy. So upstairs, it's a marginal growth. It's basically 8 more booths and This year, Collegiate Legends, they're bringing in athletes from Clemson, Georgia, and South Carolina,
Wow.
football teams to sign autographs this year on Saturday. So that's
Wow.
going to be going on up there. Plus, we have some artists. Plus, we have some, mom and pop type of single tables upstairs. I don't want a total boutique type of show. I love vendors where I can go in and go through buckets and find stuff. And to me, that's the essence of a toy show. So upstairs, you'll be able to, experience some more of that. So um, we've got, guys like you, Delta 17, have got brand new product and exciting new product. And then upstairs, you get to go upstairs and find, maybe Barbie and Ken doll or whatever buried in the thing. But, you got families coming to this and not everybody buys all the same product. So I'm excited to see how the upstairs works. I sold it at a discount.
Hmm. Yeah.
Just just because I don't think it's a fair advantage upstairs
Hmm.
as compared to downstairs.
And I know
But
that you sold the vestibule for the first time. Was it the first time last year? I think it was, right?
yeah, last
And
year
you said that people actually prefer that location out there right outside the doors,
I couldn't
which
believe
surprised
it.
me. Yeah.
One of my vendors, he's like, oh, it was like
Yeah.
it was pulling teeth last year. He's like, I don't want the vegetable. That's all I've got. That's
Wow.
He
Yeah.
goes,
Actually, you tell the story. I got to answer the door. You tell that story to the. Okay, give me
yeah,
like. Yeah, you tell the story. Yeah.
but he didn't want downstairs. He wanted inside. So we moved. We had room in the festival. He bought that, and he comes back this year and he says, "I had such a great time there. I want to stay there." We've got Crimson Toys out there that keeps the the show lively. Last year, he brought in breakfast for a lot of people. But we opened that space earlier than the main sales floor, so everybody can get in there and shop a little bit earlier, so they have a little bit of upper hand experience out there. So we'll see how it goes this year. Each year's day by day, so each year by year. And Ken is taking a nap. I guess he'll be back shortly.
How was story time?
Well, we were talking about you, so
Okay, perfect, perfect. My hair is real. Still my real hair,
looks like
and
he's taking a nap. He's
yeah. And this is not a green screen behind me. It's an actual collection back there. Yeah. Okay. I knew that Craft was talking about me. Um, got a question from Rexship here. Was it intentional to have that sort of podcasters row right there across from the registration table?
yes, it was. Yes, it
Yes.
was. Hey, man. I mean, they're collectors just like us, enthusiasts. And we're trying to actually help them get more views, more interaction. And if you can get the community talking about, toys, your show, anything in particular, it's worth a free table to me. What do you like the show or you want to critique the show? I'm always learning from my mistakes. So any interaction's good interaction.
So any crazy stories that you want to tell? Like anything really stand out from previous years? That
Previous years, yeah. Second year, there was a water fountain in the hotel, and apparently, I don't remember if the guy was naked or if he was drunk. But I mean, I went home because I live not far away here, so we didn't stay the night there, and we come back the next morning and I suppose it was a big to do. Who knows what even happened, but um,
Yeah.
let's just say that it was probably best that a lot of people don't remember that. So.
Probably a good thing if they were drinking. You know, I
Yeah.
gotta shake Mikey's hand this year because I don't think I didn't get to meet him before. But
I'd like to, I don't recall meeting him either, and I would really like to say hello. I love his work. Um,
yeah. Um, So, I mean, I just like how John from the Longbow team has gotten his now adult age son into Joe's and kind of carrying that next generation. Because when we're old and we're in wheelchairs, Mikey's going to be in his prime. You know what I mean? That's the way I see it,
yeah.
right? And he's going to be doing what the rest of us are doing and carrying that torch and be like, hey, they had some great properties back then. Yeah, and a lot of people are saying they're going to start the party on Wednesday, which is nuts.
It
Like
starts earlier every year, Ken. I mean, I've got people wanting me to open the whole floor on Friday. Um, then we'd have to load in on Thursday. And maybe that's a really good business model. Maybe that's something that I should consider more. But man, it makes it tough for people that do have actual jobs to, you know, that's a week now we're talking. What do you think?
yeah, I mean, a lot of people. I know last year you kind of talked about it. Like we ran into each other briefly there at the lobby, and you said wondering about doing the setup on Thursday now. And I remember saying, hey, whatever you do, I'm game for. But however, um, there's a lot of people will take the time off anyway. Like almost everyone I know in the chat is taking that Friday off anyway. Now, to be fair, some of them are some of them are vendors anyway, right? I do know some people race over after Friday, but they can still do that. You know what I mean? Like the big fan expo here, which is kind of like our poor man's version of San Diego Comic Con. Sometimes they will spill over into the Monday or do all day or they start early in the early afternoon on Friday um, before people are off work. It just happens. It just happens quite a bit. So if people are saying they're not getting enough of an experience, I'd be open to it because for me, that show starts on the Friday. I blink and it's Sunday.
So what do you
You know what I
think? Like
mean?
open maybe per se at like noon or something like that, and go to 6 or something? You know, because the Friday night thing works great, especially in the local area for people that work a day job. They get a lot of bumping tickets just because they can get here in the evening. Vendors don't want to be here that late. I get that. I totally get that. But man, there's a bump because hey, look, you're getting another work shift in there. You know?
I, I don't I don't mind work going till 8 p.m. on that Friday
Yeah.
at all. In fact, I think it's the perfect time to end the show because there are going to be people who have weekend passes. They might not close from their shop or whatever their day job is till 6. They beeline it to Joefest. They get there between 6:30 and 7. They got an hour and a bit to peruse the floor and then continue on the Saturday. So I actually like ending at 8.
See,
If you're
this
going to
year,
start it earlier, I don't know. I mean, is it worth starting even like at 3 or 4? Is that worth it, or is it a case if you're going to open earlier, you may as well do noon if you're going to do it that way?
see, a lot of the reason I've held off on it is because, of course, you got to pay for the convention center per day. And if I add in longer hours Friday, well, we can no longer load in then Friday. We have to load in on Thursday. And that's renting a convention center for another day, which bumps up the cost,
And not by a small amount, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
I
number
mean,
one is you already said you're not getting rich off of this. So is it worth it for you financially? That's gotta because you're the main point man for this. So if you want to do it and you're saying I'm leaning towards it, then you start talking to your long-term vendors. You start talking to the people who attend the show but maybe aren't vendors. If it's unanimous praise all along, and I think you already indicated that some may not want to do it, but the show's also growing. Like, am I wrong that it's grown every year?
no, you're definitely not wrong. I mean,
Right? Because you might break 5 digits this year.
my wife keeps telling me that we've outgrown the place we're in, but I, I beg to differ. I just think that we can do things different. And like the last comment there, prices are reasonable. My goal is to keep everything as low as possible so the money's in the hand of the vendor. That, you know, you I had seen there's another convention going on from here. It's like $50-$60 a person to get in. All right.
Yes.
Per day, plus the parking is like $50 to $100.
Yes.
Once you spend all that, what are you buying on product inside there? I just don't. What are you? Yeah. I know some people save money all year long for this and all. I'm a cheapskate in a way. I'd like to get the most out of my dollar and get as much stuff as I can, but I also don't want to miss on life experiences all year long, and I want to do stuff. So there's a happy medium, you know?
There is. And as far as outgrowing the convention center is concerned, is that not already the largest convention center in your immediate area?
It is. And I mean, I hate to say it, it's just as large as anything in Atlanta or Charlotte. It's bigger than anything in Charlotte, other than the Charlotte Convention Center, which is a logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
There's no load-in parking area. The parking area for that convention center or the load-in is you have to line up on a city street, and the vendors that set up for this convention honestly back up literally all day long, one by one to one. You know,
I've seen the logistics of that at a show we have here in Victoria.
Yeah.
And that's already hard enough to manage when you just have to line up for like an hour and a half with the car. And imagine doing it all day long. That's difficult. Long. So,
and then inside of a major city, that's even tougher, you know?
The only advantage is people coming in from the airport don't have to rent a car to go to Augusta. But the trade-off then becomes I don't know, because I've only been to 2 Joefests. At the same time, I go in, that second time I came in the door, like I come in the doors and it's just like, there's just this blissful feeling of like, we're back. We're back at the place we never wanted to leave in the first place. I'll miss the place. If you move, I'll miss the place.
I've heard some things that, hey, you should be in a bigger city because of the airports and all that. But there's other shows that are going in much bigger cities than where I'm at. And their vendor floor space is not even a quarter of what I have.
I know.
So what are you looking for? Are you looking for a submersible experience all weekend long? Or are you going to want to go there and hang out off property, go out to eat and all, because there's not enough vendors to spend the whole day at?
Mm-hmm.
What is the collector want? And then when you're in a larger city, you're paying more for tickets. You're paying more to vendors for space you're renting. Everything's more. I get that, but then you turn around and you got, so you're driving from, or a connector flight to Augusta. It actually comes out cheaper.
It does. Yeah. I mean, there's a bit of a trade-off, right? Like, wouldn't I love just be able to fly in, because that Augusta airport's pretty small, so a lot of times you're going into Charlotte or Atlanta, right?
Yep.
It's a trade-off. But at this point, I mean, let alone the people who've been at the Marriott since 2020, going to that show every single year. I mean, I've only been going since 2023, and I get in those doors and it's like, don't ever let me leave this place.
And the Marriott's great, because if you're staying there, you call them up. They have a van. They have a gentleman comes with a full suit on. He helps you load your luggage, and he drives you directly to the hotel. There's no Uber. There's none of that stuff. It saves you money.
So, but you're talking from the Augusta airport, right?
Yeah, from the Augusta airport. Yeah.
If you can, if you can get in on that flight, because they don't have that many flights every day. But that 2-floor lobby, with the mezzanine level and that main floor, it's hard to replace that experience and that sort of gathering, right? I think this year, am I wrong? It's that the hotel's rented out just for Joefest this year, isn't it?
We jumped on it early last year. We've already jumped on it for next year. When you sign these agreements, you gotta. It's a crazy system. You have to if you want to reserve a certain amount of rooms, if they don't sell, the promoter has to pay for all those rooms. So, it's a learning experience, but we took the deep dive this year and said we want them all, and let's pray that we sell them all. But it didn't take a week and we sold them all. And now we're like basically 3 properties in sold outside of here. So that's not something we're ever worry about again. And, which is it's a great problem to have,
Yeah. It's kind of almost like an embarrassment of, like embarrassment of riches. Almost, I guess is what you say, because it's like you're sitting there, you're like, I'm going to book the whole block.
Yeah.
What if it doesn't sell? And you open it up and it's like, never mind. I never should have been worried in the first place.
Because we, this year we did it for the first time, and we said, we want, we want to book the hotel. We did that. We put the hotel on sale and it sold out like that. So I was getting a lot of angry messages. Why don't you guys book the whole hotel? I had to explain that we did this time. And they're like, they're already gone. It's like,
yeah. I mean, there are a lot of people book around the area anyway, because there's hotels within walking distance. Some people just walk over. It's not the end of the world. Like for us, the first year we got there, because we didn't know how many days to book, we actually booked a Thursday at the Sheraton and then moved to the Marriott on the Friday, right?
yeah.
Thankfully this year I'm staying through till Monday just to keep the party going. Because the one thing that I was absolutely surprised by, because in 2023 we left when the show ended. 2024 I didn't leave till about midnight on the Sunday, and the fact that the lobby was still like 2/3 full of people on the Sunday at midnight, I was like, dear Lord, like I should have stayed till Monday. And then Steve let us know, like, oh yeah, the flight's gonna be a bit later this time, so you may as well stay the extra night. I'm like, yes, we can stay up till 1:30 in the morning and then get up and have breakfast and still say bye to people.
There's still room trading, and they work that lobby pretty good Sunday night, and I'm really surprised. It's like, you got any money left? But they're still buying. But it's not even about the buying. I think on Sunday it's the camaraderie of it. Seeing friends, hanging out. Getting something to eat, something to drink.
I mean, there's nothing like it. 'Cause I know I mentioned that 2023 experience. 2024, me and Jay are coming in from the parkade, and there's that hallway that comes to the parkade that right. And I'm not even in the room yet. And then Marco Berg from Skeletron and Troy from the Longbow team both turn around like, "Hey, Ken." I stepped 2 steps in from the hallway of the parkade is to the convention center, and I'm like, "Group hug, boys. It's been too long," and just right off the bat, right. Yep. And that's how it was all night long. And Jay was there for his first time last year. He goes, right from the opening, like 3 seconds from when we walked in, I could already tell what kind of event it was going to be. Right.
I've got a question for you.
Sure.
How much sleep you get all weekend?
So I think I told somebody asked me last year, and I think I said I combined about 12 hours between Thursday to Sunday morning, because I was sending messages at 3 a.m. and then I was up by like 6:30 or 7 and sending messages again, and they're like, "Did you get any sleep?" I'm like, I had something in between a sleep and a nap. Don't worry about it.
Sunday morning last year, we're in the room, and I wake up, and wife and kids they're ready, getting ready to go downstairs and open up. And she looked at me. She goes, "It's almost time to open up." I said, "I can't. I honestly can't go anymore." I was exhausted. So she went and took care of it. The kids, they got it all going. But yeah, wow.
Is it just me, or did the bar close earlier last year?
It actually stayed open later last year.
Was it? I swear.
Yeah, because
it was open late on the Thursday the first year, and then anyway.
Because maybe Bob sat down with me last year to eat, and that was already after closing hours.
Oh, really? Yeah, okay.
I'm there. We're having a meeting, with the hotel in the next week. So that's gonna be something I'm gonna bring up. Like, hey, you got to keep this party going.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. I don't know what the legal limits are, but I do know that back around 2010, I was at a bar till like 1:30 in the morning, and the cops came and they're like, "Why is this place still bumping?" Yeah. But we're not asking for 1:30 in the morning. We're asking till maybe midnight, right?
Midnight, so, that's where we want to be at. And You know, it's even crazy like the vendor floor. I mean, we've got a message that, last year people were bringing in coolers and all that stuff. It's actually against Georgia law for to have any outside food or drink in there because it is a city facility unless you purchase it on property. I guess I know how that, how that sounds, that you got to buy here or else, but unfortunately that is the local law. So
Yeah, I mean, I think I got used to that around here as well. Like, if you walk into a restaurant, you can't bring somebody else's food. Now, there's exceptions like baby food. Obviously, you're gonna bring your child's formula and
yeah,
like and breast milk or whatever, right? But like
apricot, come on,
there we go, there we
jolly
go.
little.
Yeah, I'm sure you can pour your 3-year-old some cereal or something like that. Like, it's just there's certain things they just won't care.
Yeah,
But if I freaking show up with a burger from the street, and there's a burger stand in the building.
yeah,
Come on, right? That's
yeah,
not cool, right?
yeah.
So I get it from their perspective. Yeah, I mean, as a friend, hopefully I didn't talk over you too much. But are there any common questions you get all the time that you want to make sure people hear a second or third time?
Where's the vendor locations? And we went over that. That's the most over and over and over questions is go to the website, joefestusa.com. You got the map on the main page, and on the guest and vendors tab is the locations.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, on behalf of everyone, I do want to thank you for putting this together because we can all have fun when we get there, but someone's got to be the brain to put it all together,
Somebody's got to
right?
work, and
Yes.
it's, I've upset some people in the past because I didn't, in their minds, acknowledge them. To me, it's working experience until after hours, and even after hours, we've got panels going all the way to midnight, along with the toy swap and all. My job to make sure everybody's happy.
I mean, if you don't acknowledge them, sometimes they got to walk up to you because I saw you walk by me a couple times and I only recognized you because I knew you from the Rec Room Facebook group, right? Your GI Joe Rec Room that you and your friends run. But I saw you busy. I didn't introduce myself to you. I happened to be coming back from the bathroom, the Sarge, coming back to the Sarge breakfast, which I attended in 2023 on the Sunday, and that's when I introduced myself to you because I saw you were coming in to check on how the breakfast was going. And I'm like, oh, I'll give him, a minute or so to check out, get his thoughts together. Like, because you're obviously there just making sure everything's going smoothly, the food's there, the people are happy, nobody being rowdy. And then I'm like, hey, by the way, Ed, I'm Ken. I work for 5x5 Toys, Delta 17. We're gonna need a new booth next year, but I did want to introduce myself to you. And the selfie that I used for this thumbnail is actually from that 2023 show. So, you know, um,
I've got
yeah.
vendors already messaging for 2026. They, it's funny. What you said. They want this spot, want that spot. I need that guy's spot. It's like, wow. Yeah, it's
Wow.
crazy, isn't it?
I gotta be honest, right? You kind of have to earn that as the main look.
You know me. Remember last year, I made sure everybody got their spot first before.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a loyal
Yes.
person. I really am. So
Yes. It's hard logistically because you kind of have to earn that place. Like, it's like earning the main event spot on a wrestling card or something like that, right? You're
yeah,
on last because you're the main star. You know what I
it's,
mean? Sarge
it,
isn't moving. He's the
I
main
was
guy.
just going to say, why I've had several messages. Why isn't Sarge in the back to bring more people to the back? Because Sarge wants right there, and if Sarge wants right there, Sarge is getting right there.
Also, he's got to be near the doors,
To
right?
me,
So yeah.
it's great because then he can line up, and then the people line up into the front entrance there, and while they're out there, they're buying stuff, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of thought into it. It really is.
I'm gonna come back to that in a second, but customization class doesn't wouldn't somebody have to like head that up, like kind of take the ball and say, hey Ed, I got the idea for a customization class, and then you say, okay, I'll find a room for you. Is
It's
that normally how that works?
probably one of those things that I need help with
Okay. Yeah.
going forward. I would like to do it in, um,
Okay.
I just I'm one
Yeah.
person. I would love to do it again.
Yeah.
If there's anybody out there that would like to do it, and we can work out the logistics on how to do it,
Yeah. Mhm.
I'll do it.
As for the whole like location thing, right? Like because I knew we were coming in as a new vendor in 2023, I did not want to dictate our spot in 2024. But when you got us up front, because you saw what our product looked like, you saw what our Wave One looked like, you had an idea about our exclusive, you trusted us to be up front last year. And I looked at Steve, I'm like, we can't disappoint. It's only our second event, first time with product. This guy who's grandfather to show since 2018 is trusting us with managing that crowd in that busy spot. And you've got us in kind of a similar location again this year. So I'm talking to Crash, Wilhelm, Joe Recondo, the guys in the chat right now. I'm like, we got to carry that. We got to carry our load if we're going to be there. But there's also no bad spot because even last time we were in all the way in the back of the artist alley. Yeah, it takes an extra few minutes for the attendees to get to the back. But there's a lot of shaking hands, and if anything, there's even more interaction room in the back.
Well,
You get longer conversations. So
by
right?
having Four Horsemen at the back quad back there, and now Savage Crucible in front of them.
Yes.
The plan is to divert people to the back also. So, I've had some long-standing vendors that have been back there on those back rows that don't want to move. So, I don't think there is a bad spot. The front row there is more, to me, the presence. When you walk in and it's like, wow. Like Skeletron and Marauders, they have this big lit up booth and all. It's the presentation of it. So
Absolutely, right. Especially with the RoboSkull showing up this year, because last year they had figures, they didn't have a RoboSkull, right? This year they'll have that, so it's going to be quite the experience, right? And we're kind of in that role, like you come in, you'll see Skeletron, you'll see Sarge, Longbow will be in that mix, and then you'll see us and Patriot Force will be, and Zartan's voice actor Zach Hoffman will be there.
I try to organize the floor. It's just it's a lot like a puzzle though, because somebody buys one booth, another guy buys 4 booths, 3 booths. You got to fit them in somehow. But I do try to keep all the independent toy companies together. I try to keep some of the artists together, celebrities together. But it doesn't always work out.
No, you can't please everyone all the time. No. And Crash, thank you for renewing your membership on the channel. About time, buddy. I was about to say something. I think his credit card expired, and all of a sudden, I'm like, no, don't say anything. Don't say anything. If he wants to pay you $1 a month, he'll just do it. You don't have to ask. Bam, here he is. Yeah. Oh, this is a bit of an ask here. Darren wants to know,
we're actually working on that.
Oh wow, that's awesome, Darren, way ahead of you.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to get the map on the same pages online, so it'd be like a virtual. Just pull it up.
Yes.
But me and my wife have talked about it like a front and back type of thing. Vendors list on the back side, the map printed on front, and making a couple hundred copies and just leaving them at the front tables.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I mean, I got to talk to Steve and the crew this year. We might be asking you for a quad next year. Who knows, right? So now you and I have kind of teased that idea. That partly may depend whether our Wave 2 can ship on time as planned, because we've got a lot of, sorry, I'm not sticking the finger up. I'm crossing my fingers.
We're getting more and more larger toy companies in here next year now. So awesome. It might have to, I'm really concerned in my head how I'm going to do this, and maybe 2 rows of quads. Yeah.
If it doesn't work, there's no, I can't see us demanding a quad. Let's put it that way. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? That's okay. Well,
I wanted to make it, you walk in and go, wow, that's what I want, and, it's Super 7 returning and wanting to return next year now too. And talk of exclusive product for next year in hand.
That'll be nice. That'll be nice.
I think a quad is something that they should have. You know what I'm saying?
Super 7 definitely deserves it. 4 Horsemen definitely. They're the big mainstays, and
look at Savage Crucible now on a quad.
Yep. Oh man, Crash asked the loaded question of all loaded questions here. Will Hasbro ever show up?
X-Stem Crash.
Asking them.
We've
Um,
tried, and we tried, and I've left the door open to them. And hey, Carlos, um,
yeah.
I've tried.
So
The
yeah.
door is open. That's all I can say. And
My understanding is that looking outside of GI Joe for a second, at at TF at TFCon, I don't unless that's changed in the last couple of years. I don't think Hasbro shows up for TFCon. They used to show up for the old BotCon. And they had BotCon exclusives that came directly from Hasbro up until I think 2015 was the last BotCon, and I think they've either restarted BotCon again or they're about to. But when everyone see, it's very similar. It's eerily similar how everybody migrated from Joe Con to Joe Fest, and for in the Transformer community, people have migrated from BotCon to TFCon, and it's kind of the same thing where Hasbro does not provide that support like they used to, just as Mattel did not support PowerCon after a certain year and it got moved out east. So the big company taking their name off of the big show,
there's
the
a
big fan run show, is more and more common these days. Yeah.
there's a lot of legality to that from what they have discussed. I don't really fully understand it because they go to they went to MegaCon this year. They went to San Diego Comic Con. And what I'm trying to convey to them is that we have more people buying their products under our roof than under those roofs because those people are going in there for everything.
Yes.
They would be coming here. People would be coming here just for them.
Yes.
There's a difference. And
Mm-hmm.
I,
So I that's from a passion standpoint, you're absolutely correct. I think the way that corporations unfortunately work is that the people at the top may not there may be a bit of a disconnect between the people um like Tony, I forget his last name, and Lenny on the Joe team who might have a closer understanding of that, and then they try to report. I don't want to speak for them, but if I know
sure.
large companies, they probably talk to senior management. Senior management might be like, sure, show me the location, show me the numbers, show me how big the thing is. And for a fan run show, what you have is large scale. But for them, when they see San Diego Comic Con, oh, this show's been running for decades and decades. It's got, 200,000 people through. It's got the whole city block filled. Yeah, we're going to go there because that's all they understand is numbers, big geographic location, massive map. That's all they
Exactly.
understand. And they're not as ingrained. So the people who would probably want to come to the show will have a hard time selling it. And then is it on their asses if it doesn't go, on the off chance it doesn't go well? I may be speaking out of turn when I say that, but I'm willing to speculate that that's
Yeah,
at least partially
it's,
true.
it's been my thoughts too. I've offered to even bring in some of them, you know, on their own, just not even in an official capacity, but
Yeah, it'd be good. Just it'd be nice if one of
just
the.
walk around the floor and say hi to everybody. That's all I
Yep.
want, but,
Yeah.
you know, because
Yep.
I think they would see a difference. The online world,
Yes.
you read the comments, but it's different when you're at the show.
Fair.
There's none of that negativity. And I think they would actually see more of a connect with their fan base as compared to being jammed into San Diego when you got people walking around in cosplay and buying all this other stuff and not knowing who they are.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely. Right. I'm
but
sure
we'll
there's a
keep.
relationship. Yeah, I'm sure there's a relationship there between whoever runs the big convention and the upper brass at those companies. That it's hard to make that connection as a fan run
I mean,
show.
I met them this year in MegaCon. I went down there in the beginning. Was it February? I think it was. I met Emily, and they set up Transformers.
Yeah.
And Emily is as sweet as can be. I mean, it's really thought she was a great person to talk to. Um,
I can imagine. Yeah. Oh,
You know, they had a little bit of crowd around it, and I'm sure they did well, but they had nothing to sell. It was just a couple of showcases of Transformers in it.
well, we're coming up upon the 75-minute mark here. I know I
Woo!
promised you roughly an hour. Is there anything else you want to bring up? Any tips you want? I know there's questions in the chat and that you've been answering all along. Is there anything else that you want to touch
Plan
on
ahead on
before?
food. Plan ahead on food. Right, Ken? Plan
Yes.
ahead on how you're going to eat.
Yes. Get to that breakfast early if you want to get to your booth on time if you're a vendor, but
Yep.
also get there early if you're an attendee so you can shop or go out, get some food and come back. So
Or even if you order in a pizza at night to the room, understand that it's going to be 2-3 hour wait for a pizza. So
we did that last year. My buddy John did that last year. So yeah.
make some plans. I've heard that every year. Like, we need
Awesome.
food.
You know, and I could talk to you for hours at the time.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and I
You're
guess what we'll do is
one of my
hmm?
favorite people, Ken. I really do mean that. So
I'm honored to have earned that in the couple of years that we've known each other. All right then. So I know there's still a couple of questions in the chat there. Maybe we can address those on Facebook or something like that. But I know that both Ed and I have plans today, so I'm gonna maybe end the show there. And thanks everyone in the chat who came in, everyone who contributed to the comment section here because YouTube will help recognize the video more. And Ed, thanks for all you do. And I'm sorry if we didn't get to every single question on here, but let's do a quick yo Joe and a wave goodbye. So
see
take
everybody
care.
in 2 weeks.
See you all soon. Take care.
Yep. Bye bye.